What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Catwoman issue number 35. This one's written by Ram V, and it is the first kind of Catwoman title that literally has the Fear State banner on it. So I just did a video on issue number 34, and now we're here talking about issue number 35 because they're all in that whole Fear State checklist, and I made a pack to cover every Fear State tie-in, and that is what we will be doing today. So I gotta get this one. I got one more Catwoman that I'm all caught up for tomorrow. So anyways, this one picks up after the events of the previous issue, which I thought overall was a solid issue. I had a few gripes with what was going on with Batman and Catwoman. Like, you know, I get you're a couple and all that and kind of go on a relationship break, but I don't think having Batman and Catwoman just sitting there and looking at an entire riot scene, it just doesn't feel right. Like, that was kind of a little gripe I had with that previous one. And also, I think I took a little issue with having Hadley die, but his sacrifice was a good and noble one. I kind of wish he stuck around a bit, but I knew inevitably that was going to pretty much happen because that's what happens to anyone who would seem a potential love interest to a character like Batman and Catwoman who isn't either Batman, Catwoman, or one of the big ones. So it was inevitable he was going to die. Like, everyone just I knew that was coming as soon as I read this thing. But granted, I had not read ahead with this book, but I just knew it was kind of inevitable. But this issue kind of deals with the fallout of that whole situation, and this one is pretty much just sad Selina for most of the issue. Hadley died sacrificing himself to save her sister, which he did. And she's thankful for that, but she lost a friend in the process, or somebody who was looking out for her, or whatever they were. Like, he was a good guy when all things were considered. Like, he was a good guy. Maybe she had more feelings than him than she realized. Who exactly knows when it comes to that? But unfortunately, Hadley has passed away. Her place is pretty much destroyed, and then in a sad news, she has to say goodbye to her sister Maggie, who compares her basically to the sun. I love you, Selina. It breaks my heart to say this, but loving you is like the sun. Most of us can't get close without burning up. And then you also see kind of the fallout with her stuff with Batman. So Selina is just kind of in a sad, rough place this whole time. And this is where the whole Fear State thing is going on. Also around this time, they mentioned that Batman was killed. And as we know, given the other Fear State issues, this was the Anti-Oracle. On top of that, you have a bunch of other, like, Batman-related villains kind of working to team up to help to take down the Magistrate. Riddler's and Penguin are kind of working together with Catwoman. Everyone's kind of working because they all have some sort of dirt on Simon Saint, and they want to get the Magistrate the hell out of Gotham, and then they'll go back to their whole status quo thing. You have Clayface, you have Killer Croc, you have Knockout, you have Cheshire, and you have Firefly, and this is all in Alleytown, and they're working to try and take down the Magistrate. So if you're not reading the other Batman-related books, you wouldn't even know about all this stuff that's going on. So I had no clue, but here we go. I didn't realize all these other characters were involved. You would never know if you just stuck to reading the main thing, so that's what the tie-ins are for. But yeah, Selina's pretty much just hit rock bottom. She was trying to take over as kind of like the queen of Alleytown, and just every little news just kept hitting worse and worse for her. Like I said, this is sad Selina, the issue. But she comes to think, okay, Batman can't possibly be dead, and she's also got to, like, help out with Poison Ivy, who's got to rejoin with her other half because this Ivy is kind of a bit cuckoo crazy, and once they join together, then things should be okay. Selina fights off against various members of the Magistrate, and she comes to find information that, hey, the real Oracle is still out there, and that this was all just a setup or something. And then it sets up that Harley Quinn and the Gardener are going to be teaming up with Catwoman in the next issue, which if you read Harley Quinn, which I talked about, that mentions that there too. So overall consensus, I actually liked the previous issue a little bit more than this one because it was the whole... Because, I mean, Fear State just feels like an interruption for a lot of books upon reading it. Like when I was reading Nightwing, it felt like that was getting interrupted for Fear State. Catwoman was another thing when you're reading the title. Granted, I only read the whole entire run because it was going to tie into Fear State, because I wanted to cover every issue with it. So I'm like, okay, I can't just jump in and read this whole thing. I got to read it from here. I got to get a little background on it. Otherwise, I'm going to be kind of lost, and I won't feel as invested in Selena's story, which I'm glad I did. It definitely helped with all the events that were going on, because if I just jumped into, issue 33, I'd be kind of lost with all the stuff that's going on. So I'm glad I went back and I read the whole thing. But yeah, so this issue in general, I think the previous issue was a bit stronger, because that was the primary, because I had several issues building up to the confrontation between Selena and Father Valiant. I had other characters involved. That was more tied to the Catwoman book. This just feels like Fear State is interrupting another ongoing storyline, just like it did with Nightwing. And so I'm not quite as invested in what's going on with that. Yeah, they set things up, but I was more interested in the core Selena story, where it's just her in Alleytown and all the stuff kind of going around with that. But Fear State is when the Magistrate just kind of comes in and just kind of interrupts all these different storylines. So I wasn't quite as invested in this one. Yes, there's a lot of emotional moments too, like Selena saying goodbye to her sister, which was good. And it's kind of a sad, tragic thing. And then Hadley passing away too. And then her just kind of reflecting on her relationship with Bruce. So there's a lot going on here that's still pretty good, but this isn't quite as strong as some of the other issues that Ram V's had to do. But granted, I blame that more on Fear State kind of interrupting the flow of things, like it did with so many other stories. But I do think this Catwoman book so far actually has improved quite a great deal since Ram V took over from when it first started out. So it's definitely gotten a lot more exciting. And if you're looking for an issue that's basically just sad Selena, then this is something you'll probably want to check out. But anyways, what are your thoughts on it? Tell me in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications, and as always, take care now, bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.